Great news. The Drop with Frank and Brian is officially brought to you by Switch Suspension. Switch Suspension specializes in all vehicle chassis components. Lift kits, lowering kits, air ride suspension, wheels, tires, steering, and brake upgrades. They use all the best products from the best brands. And these guys are truck guys. You roll into their parking lot at the shop and they all drive custom vehicles. So they use their products that they sell on their own vehicles. So if you guys are looking for anything for your vehicles, whether you're just starting out or you just need some replacement parts or whatever, give them a call or visit their website, switchsuspension.com. 2022 was a great year. Between myself and Custom Life, we gave away a ton of cool prizes.
Guess what? We're giving stuff away. Fire 444.
With Trevor, owner of Pandaville.
Hey, you're on.
Killer Wax Triple X Kit.
Square Tank Headquarters.
That looks great.
I'm using Chemical Guys.
Here at Legacy Rag Tops.
What?
Y'all know where I can find a set of spindles for this here 88.
We got React 2-inch drop spindles.
Yeehaw!
We wanted to kick off 2023 in a big way. So we want to thank AccuAir for hooking us up to hook you up. Frank, heads up.
What incarnation? Just kidding. We are giving away this AccuAir E-Level Plus kit. And all you guys got to do to win it is either go to livelifecustom.com or grinder-tv.com. And for every $5 you guys spend on either one of those websites, get you one entry into the drawing.
Just keep not improving, it's fine.
That's fine. Hey, I've gotten this far.
How far is it though?
Not very far. Anyway, welcome to this week's episode, The Drop of Frank and Brian. I'm Frank.
I'm not going to say my name anymore.
Oh, you're not?
It's in the title. I don't want to introduce myself every single time.
What about if someone was like, hey, what is this thing? And they listen to it and they're like, who's who?
I don't know.
Do you think our voices, I thought about this. Do you think our voices are too similar? Because like I remember back in the day, like listening to K-Rock, like Kevin and Bean. And
I couldn't tell who was who.
I couldn't, for the longest time I was like, only until like I really like you start understanding their personalities on which is which. But if you were to like just cold listen, you'd be like, I don't know which person is which. So I wonder if that happens to our listeners. They're like, I wonder which one's Frank. That's why I introduced myself. I'm Frank.
I don't know. My voice has always been weird to me. Everyone's voice is always weird to them, right? When you, especially like I'm sure it was when you started talking to the camera, you're like,
yeah. Well, everybody do it. Like everybody goes through that. Like when you like leave a message and you hear the message and you're like, that's me. But you know what's weird? It's funny. I just told Angie this the other day because she was talking about the same thing. It all sounds the same to me now. Like my voice on video, in audio, in real life, in my own head, all sounds the same now. And I think it's just because of that, like listening to myself speak for so long, especially now, like with the podcast, like reviewing it every single week and listening to it over and over and over. It sounds exactly the same. Like nothing's different. It's weird.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to get over the hatred for your voice if you but once you do it, then like you said, it just becomes a regular thing.
I remember before I started doing any of this, like if someone handed me a microphone and I spoke into it and like a PA system, it would throw me off so much I couldn't speak.
Really?
Yeah, I'd be like blah blah blah, and then I hear because there's there's little feedback. I'm like blah, blah, and I hear it, and I'm like, oh, and I would focus on that, and I would lose my train of thought. But no, like I said, all the same.
When I used to be council president, I had no problems talking in front of like big groups of people. Mm-hmm. And every week we would have the club meeting. So I was always talking in front of a group of people. And I remember when we had our 25-year party. Mm-hmm. You all right over there?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm falling apart slightly, but I'm okay.
I couldn't. I had a hard time talking in front of the group.
At the banquet thing that we did?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Like I was like losing my train of thought. I wasn't concentrating. I was like, it's almost like what's that saying? If you don't do it, you lose it.
Right. Yeah. And maybe you hadn't done it for so long. Yeah, definitely. Yep. Well, welcome to this episode with the unnamed person across the way from me. So it's when this episode drops, it's New Year's, the day after New Year's. So happy New Year's, everybody. I hope
episode 35. Okay.
35. And it comes out January 2nd. So hope everybody had an awesome New Year. You had fun. if you fired off fireworks or anything else, hope you didn't lose any digits.
Any what?
Digits? Like fingers? Like shooting off fireworks or whatever?
Digits or numbers, though.
People call fingers digits sometimes as well.
I never heard someone call fingers digits.
Oh, well. Sorry. Yes, that's a thing. Anyway, so Happy New Year, everybody. Hope it was awesome.
What are you guys doing for New Year? Because we're obviously recording this before New Year's.
Before New Year's.
Doing?
Same thing I've done for the last 13 years, and that's just hang out at home with the kids.
Yeah, I like doing that.
You know what one of my favorite things to do is? Not favorite things to do, but I think it's funny is because I live in a rural area, you know, it's like very separated and far apart. So I just go out there and just like watch all the fireworks and listen to all the gunshots. I just think it's funny. Which I guess I don't think that's something that, well, I know you kind of like live out in the middle of nowhere. Do people go out like in the desert there and just fire stuff off?
Oh, yeah. Not really in the desert, not fireworks, but in the neighborhood, they shoot fireworks off and stuff.
No guns?
Yeah, I'm sure there are guns, but I don't know. It's pretty quiet for the most part.
Yeah, you know, again, not to play into anything in particular, but stereotypes. My neighbors are rowdy, dude. They get out there. It's like a war zone.
Yeah. I thought my old neighborhood when we were the house before this.
El Mirage?
Yeah, I was like, when I first moved in there, I like looked around. It's kind of in the older bad area. I was like, this place is gonna go off on the 4th of July. And it was like quieter than I expected it to be.
Really? That's interesting.
Like, kind of let down at the same time because I wanted it to kind of like just get crazy.
Yeah.
You know, but it didn't. Someone lights a firework off here and people hop on Facebook and be like,
yeah,
starting to complain, and then it just starts a battle royale between the
like on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
That's funny.
Community groups like Nextdoor app and Facebook, and every little community has their little Facebook group. It's so funny to watch. People go get crazy in there.
That's funny. It's so foreign to me. I wonder what would it be like if my neighborhood had one of those.
I bet you that you could find a close one, like up the street.
Oh well, I mean there are like you've been to my pad, so I'm in kind of an interesting area because I am surrounded by like tract homes and like gated communities and stuff. But I live in this like little pocket of openness, just acreage, and we're very far apart, and we're very like to ourselves, and we don't really talk to each other and care not to talk to each other. You know, like I don't want to know my neighbor. I don't give a crap what that dude's doing. You know.
Yeah.
Unless they're throwing, maybe someone can go find it, but there was an all Ford truck show that someone threw behind my house. It was like Dinos but Fords on a dirt lot. That was pretty cool. I just wake up one morning and I look out my bedroom window and I'm all, oh my gosh, there's like 500 F-100s in my backyard.
There's a car show. I'm surprised you didn't go over there.
I really wanted to, and our buddy Chupis filmed it. Like he made a video. And he hit, or like I hit him up or something, however it hit up, and he's like, yeah, come on over, man. It's awesome. There's so much stuff going on. And I had like a previous thing to do and I didn't go. And I was so bummed because those dudes, like they go off. They know how to party. So, which is why this Saturday, New Year's Eve, it's gonna go crazy. Our dogs are not gonna like it, but
our dog doesn't even care.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fireworks, gunshots. She doesn't even react to them.
I find that so surprising with her personality.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a sketch. My dog is a total sketch. Doesn't like to be pet. It's kind of just a weird dog, but when it comes to fireworks and stuff,
just chill.
She just lays in her bed and she like doesn't even open her eyes. A mortar could go off right in the backyard and she doesn't flinch.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that's New Year's. Hope everybody had a good one. But this episode, No, go ahead. I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
Oh, well, we could just have a conversation.
I know, right? Why am I in such a rush? Why am I in such a rush right now? I just want to get this done. No, I'm just kidding.
We don't have to like turn on the episode.
Yeah, I know.
We could just talk.
Yeah.
Let's just do that.
35 episodes in, and we haven't figured that out.
I know. I just like the conversation part of it.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say we're gonna watch the ball drop in New York.
Yeah.
For two reasons. One, because we could watch it early, and then if we do go to sleep, we could still. And then 2, because we were like right there just a few weeks ago, so we could kind of have
relive that moment.
that little connection to it. I don't know. I watched that like that whole thing in New York, and I'm like, this looks so fun.
My mother-in-law and brother-in-law and nephew went there a couple years ago. It was miserable.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it looks fun, but you have to stand
Yeah,
there.
it's miserable. They
All
said
day.
it sucked. Yeah.
Yeah, you like all day. You can't leave because then you
Yeah.
can't get back in, right?
Mm-hmm. And there's no bathrooms. There's no food.
Yeah, like screw that.
Yeah, sounds miserable. You know what's funny? Okay, so you said that, like, watching the ball drop early, so you can go to bed later. Like, and I'm saying, like, yeah, I've done the same thing I've done for 13 years and just hang out at home with the kids. That's not my personality, by the way. I think you know my personality, like, and you know how I am. And I think people who have watched our videos and seen the dynamic, how I am, I want to go out and party and have a good time. But I don't, just because, it's just easier to stay at home. But I'm not like definitely not one of those dudes who's like, oh yeah, I turn in at, 11, New Year's, I'm sleeping. I'm like, no, man, I want to go out and have fun. I want to party. I want to go out there and shoot off fireworks and just
Well, why
stuff,
don't you?
I don't know why.
Why? Because
Well, like I said earlier, I don't talk to my neighbors, so I'm not going to go over there.
yeah, but you could have just a party in your front yard just with you.
Just me. How sad would that be?
I think that's great. Right?
My kids are like, "What's Dad doing?"
Nah, just leave him alone. He's out there with he's out there with all his friends.
You're not wrong. You're
Yeah,
not wrong.
It's funny because it's like I don't care which way either I go. Like if the neighbors were having a party and we went over and had a party, or if I was at home, or if I was in bed, or if I was awake. Mm-hmm. There's no like thing that you have to like. Oh, everyone has to get on social media and tell everyone what they're doing, right? It's kind of like sports when the World Series is on and no one cares about sports. Yet they have to go tell everyone that they don't care about sports. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that too. Like I have to get on social media and let everyone know I'm going to be in bed before midnight.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like I'm a responsible adult. I'm going to sleep. Can't do those shenanigans. I want to get on a Facebook group and tell my neighbors to be quiet. Right. I want to be the opposite of that. I just want to wild out. I don't know. It's just me.
You can go find someone to wild out with.
I should. Anyway, are you ready to get on with it?
This is it.
Right, just kidding. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about was I've been building up to this. So since we're talking about New Year's and all this other stuff, and I think it's a good opportunity to talk about one of the greatest runs to ever exist, and that's Rezo. I thought about it. I was like, what a perfect opportunity to maybe bring up some cool Rezo stories. I've been going to Rezo since 2001, and you were going since like, what'd you say, 95?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm pretty sure there are some pretty good stories. So I just thought we would maybe go over a couple.
Yeah, Rezo, where was it in 2001?
Glen Helen.
Okay, so you didn't go to... Did you go to the water park? Was the water park
That was after. Yeah, that was after. Yeah.
So you did go
and that
to
was that. And I wrote down a bunch of memories. Oh, just real quick, low key brag. I wrote it down on my new iPhone.
Oh, you didn't write it down on your
my notebook? That someone, did you see the comment that someone left? No, on the last video, someone said, like your note, like they like your notebook was open and it's got all these notes and scribbles and neat things, and mine is like blank.
I know.
And someone's all, what is Frank doing? It's sort of like my mind.
Did you go, speaking of your phone, did you go and look at all the tips and tricks yet on YouTube with it?
I haven't done that yet. But do you have the same case?
No, I have a C10 Vatos case.
Oh, I got the charger thing, but yeah, but it was funny because I got the purple one too. Because if you remember a few episodes ago, you unboxed your iPhone 14 and it was purple. So when it came time to pick mine, I was like,
Yeah, I was gonna say, because we were talking in the group about how the camera's really good and stuff. The camera's only really good on certain settings and certain lenses. So like only one of these lenses is good for stabilization. The others aren't. And like the low light stuff, I took photos in New York and I brought them. They look great on the screen. Then I brought them home and they were complete garbage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like I was like, oh, these look great. And then you could put them on the computer. Like, oh no, everything's blurry and stuff. Cause like it's
I thought like because Angie has a 13, and that's one of the biggest things I loved about it was the low light stuff. But you do you have to be extremely still.
Yeah,
you have to let it do the exposures and everything. But I don't know. I've never brought it up on anything bigger. But really, like, I mean, unless I don't know, would you? It's for social media. It's fine. You know,
well, for social media, any phone's fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just that low light stuff looks good. Like if you're just throwing it up on Instagram or Facebook or something, I would make like a I wouldn't make like a banner or something out of it.
I mean, you could.
You could.
I printed out all of our photos from New York, and they all look really good.
Oh, cool.
And I even printed out like a really big one of the Statue of Liberty, and it looks really good. But yeah, it's still like it's only the only camera I brought to New York, and I was like, oh, this is great. And then I get home, and I'm like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was gonna be. As far as like like you're like, oh, it's amazing because you see all the videos and stuff that when they do the promotions and all that stuff, and then you do it, and you're like, it's like GoPro, right? Like when you see a GoPro video, and then you take your GoPro out, and you're like, why does it's not the same? Yeah,
well, all that stuff is so processed, and like I remember seeing a video about like doing a video with an iPhone, and like I don't know, there was so much extra stuff. There was rigs, and there was like, you know, lighting, and there was just so much extra stuff to produce something like that. Like it's not just the phone.
Yeah, it's just it's the scenario that you're in.
Yeah. So Rezo stories. What do you got? What are some of your Rezo memories? Well, first of all, I think maybe we should start with explaining what Rezo is, what Rezo was.
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, Rezo was a 3-day truck run, and it was hosted by Sunset for many, many, many years. It was usually around the end of the year. Not usually. It was at the end of the year, either on New Year's weekend or within a couple weekends.
And I always got confused with Rezo because my first Rezo was 1995. I got into Forbidden Fantasy towards kind of like the end, like October-ish, I think it was. And then I like looked over. I was like, "Is this the recording?
Is it in focus?"
And so 1995 was the year I went to Rezo. But was that Rezo 95 or Rezo 96?
What was the actual year?
I don't remember.
Oh, you don't remember?
No.
Because it could have been 1994 because that's what they used to do.
No, it was 1995. Like
then you went to Rezo 96.
Okay.
Because he always liked to make it the year. Because the idea was and it's happened a few times because obviously, you know, New Year's, the day moves, but throughout the years, it happened a couple times where it was on New Year's weekend.
Yeah.
And he always liked to say, okay, this is, you know, January 28th or 30th, 31st, and 1st.
Yeah.
And then it becomes the year, the Rezo the year. So yeah, so it was always like that. So if you went in Rezo 95, I guess if you looked at the artwork and stuff, you went to Rezo 96.
Yeah. And I barely remember Rezo 95 because it was my first year in the club. I'd only been in it a couple months. I remember Bob Hayes yelling at me. Because we were in our camp, this was at Lake Paris Fairgrounds. We had the Forbidden Show.
Uh-huh.
So I was driving over to park my truck into the actual show. And Bob was like, "How many body mods do you have?" And I was like 5. And he goes, "What are they?" I said, "It's lowered. It's got rims." And he's like, "No, real mods." And I'm like, "What are real mods? I don't even know what you're talking about." And I was like, he's like anything shaved? I'm all, I don't even know what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're brand new.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, it's what your stock." And then so we went in, and I went into the show, and
I'm sorry I'm laughing so much, but it's fun. I will explain why. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so I don't remember much about Rezo except just hanging out with the club. And then the next year, it was at Prado Dam, right there out the 91.
I never went to those. That was way before me.
I remember because I have it on those old VHS tapes. That's when I started recording truck runs. So I was like, that morning, I was getting my truck shaved, the tailgate and the roll pan put on and in primer. And then that night we cranked the torsions down so super low, and then we drove into Rezo, and it poured rain the whole weekend. And Prado was like grass. And so it was just mud. There was mud pits. Everyone was mud wrestling.
Oh, that's funny.
It was pretty crazy. And then 97, I say I have weird. I don't remember where they moved it in '97. Maybe it was the water park. I don't know. I went to a couple at the water park and then a couple at Glen Helen. And then they moved it to Blythe. And I forgot what the last year of Blythe was. Was it 2008 or something like that?
2008. Yep.
Yeah. Which I have that tattoo.
Yeah. That was one thing that I was going to bring up. What inspired you to get that in particular? Because like you don't have many tattoos, but that's like one of the most prominent ones. Like what motivated you to do that in particular?
So this was like the special edition guy.
Right.
They only made a couple of T-shirts with this guy on it.
And that on the artwork, he's actually walking into the sunset. Because 2008,
Yep.
Rezo 2008 was supposed to be, that was it. That's a wrap. This is the last one. And we'll talk about the other stuff in a minute. But that was supposed to be it. That was a wrap. Rezo man walking off into the sunset. And that's a wrap.
I think, and I was actually supposed to get that finished.
Mm-hmm, with the sunset and everything.
And I talked to my buddy Brent, who did this tattoo. Mm-hmm. And we were actually talking about that. I was like, I should, one of these trips, I should divert up to Ohio where he's got his thing and visit him and have him finish that. Mm-hmm. But no, I just think it's just like, it's like that Father Time guy, right? You know what I mean? Like,
well, that was like, one of the things was every flyer had the Rezo man on it, every single one. And actually, I don't know if you know this or you do know this, maybe you can clarify more on it, but like also on every flyer, because before Sunset threw Rezo, there was actually another truck club that threw Rezo, and that was West Side Truckers. So I don't know if they were all the flyers, but for a long time, like I don't know if it was a deal they had or it was like a nod to who started it or whatever, but every flyer also said West Side Truckers in it somewhere.
I think I remember hearing about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think I just really liked this artwork. It just represents like I'm going on an adventure type thing. You know what I mean? And I was like, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going to get my stuff and I'm going to go there. And it's just like he's looking back and it's like, I don't know.
That's cool. No, that's really cool. Because like I always thought, like knowing you for so long and listening to you like talk about things and tell stories, like you always put a lot of like emphasis on Rezo. Because like, you know, whenever we go somewhere cold and it's like cold and rainy and wet, you always say like, man, this is like Rezo weather right here. Because that's what it was. Every year, like, and that was one of the things. Like, you didn't even mind. You would go to this show in the end of December, so it's in the middle of winter. It was always cold where we went. It was probably raining in most of the places. Blythe, not really, you know, but most of the places it was raining. So that but you didn't mind. That was the Rezo.
That was what it was supposed to be. Yeah. I think I liked it because it was my first truck run, so obviously that thing. But it was something to do around that time. Around New Year's, and everyone got together. And I liked the cold part about it because when you went to the river runs, it was always a little crazy.
Oh, for sure.
It was always it was always a little hectic, but Rezo it was almost like it was too cold to be crazy.
Yeah, there was some crazy times, but definitely nowhere near like the
like you didn't have to
stuff.
worry about fighting as much, and you didn't have to worry about much because everyone just wanted to be around a fire and hanging out and having some drinks, and like that's what I liked about it. It was like the camping. It was more of like a camping aspect versus the party aspect.
Okay, all right, that's cool.
And I never missed one. Never missed a Rezo.
Yeah, me neither. The first year I went. So my story is saying it's so funny, and the reason I was laughing so much earlier because we have like almost parallel experiences, which I was really like because I was thinking about this all last night, like putting together, really digging deep to like pull out some good memories and things that happened. And one of the things that I remember is going to my first truck run. Rezo was my first truck run, and when I went there, I didn't camp. And I told this story before on the podcast. You know, I go to like the club that I was, and at the time I was petitioning. I wasn't even in the club yet, so I was still petitioning at this time. And they're like, "Come down to this show," and they explained it. And you know, it's kind of weird. Like if you were to tell someone who's never been to a truck run before, like describe a 3-day truck run, you'd be like, I don't know. Like it is a bit intimidating. You know, like we're like, hey, we're gonna go down to this thing. We're gonna stay here for 3 days in a tent, and like it's a big it's. Without knowing anything about it's a little intimidating. So I go down the first one with no intentions of staying, and I didn't, which now I regret because like obviously, right? So it wasn't until the next year that I actually did stay, and by that time I had already gone to a couple truck runs. But yeah, so that you had that same experience with like just going there, not really knowing much about anything, and kind of immersing yourself in this new culture, basically.
Yeah, I remember I lived in Marina Valley, so I lived on right off Paris Boulevard. I live probably, I don't know, probably a few thousand feet from Paris Boulevard, which was where Paris, like Lake Paris Fairgrounds, let's drive down there and go. But I drove all the way to Corona Riverside to meet with the club, turn around and caravan back. And I had my this girl with me who was a friend of mine, and she was underage. So we pull up to the gate and they're like, ID. And they're like, oh, she's underage. Do you have a permission slip from her parents? And I was like, oh no. So we just drove up to my parents' house, and my stepdad at the time just signed the permission slip.
Oh, really?
And we drove back down and then got right in.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, that was another thing about runs, all runs, not just Rezo, but they were all 18 and up, you know. So the other thing that I was like laughing at was Bob. So I was kind of skeptical on this part. Like, do I talk about the times? And I don't want to slander Bob in any way, because Bob is a cornerstone in this scene that we're in. Mm-hmm. And I'm not slandering him in any negative way, just stuff that has happened. And I think if you talk to a lot of like Sunset members and people like Los has been to every Rezo, and Los has been in Sunset since, he began his whole thing in this. And I think he would agree that like, those things are, Bob would put so much effort and time and money and everything into it. Like, he'd get really stressed out. So I think these times that we like had these like, I guess instances, would you say, with Bob, weren't necessarily because Bob was like an a-hole. It's just because he was so high-strung, stressed out, And it was funny because I have a few of those. A couple of them. One was I took a truck there. And we're standing around, and he was standing there, and we're just kind of talking. And I just casually mentioned, I was like, oh man, I wish there was a spot to like wash my truck, just because it was filthy. And then he went, oh no, well no, you can't wash it here. And I was like, oh okay. But it was such a like offhanded comment, really didn't put any much thought into it. And I'm young, like probably wasn't listening anyway. Yeah. And then so talking more, and then I said, oh well, look, there's a hose, maybe I could just get a hose. And he just screams at me, I said there's no washing here. I'm all, what's happening right now? And then the other funny thing that like you were mentioning about rolling into the show and then asking about the mods, so it wasn't Bob, but it was Kitty. And remember we ran into her just randomly at that Rolling in the Red Rock show?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy, huh?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the other one was Kitty. And same scenario. I'm pulling in. I have Angie's Mazda. Actually, this is the same show now I think about it. It was the same exact show. Bob yelling at me for wanting to wash it. And then, so I have Angie's black Mazda, and we're pulling into the thing. And she goes, all right, under construction. And, like, we're all having fun. I'm a jokey kind of guy to begin with. And I go, under construction? And she's like, yeah, you're primered. Well, it was satin black. And I was like, well, no, it's actually paint. It's satin black. Well, if you don't want to follow the rules then you can leave. I'm like, chill out.
There was a very, when I first started coming around, there was a very like on the uppers. There was like Bob Hayes, Brad Rogers.
Yeah.
Like all these people that were in the council and had been around for a long time. And then if you're younger, you come in and you don't like. It's not like looking up to them, but it's like they're like the elders almost.
Yeah,
right?
They're like the adults.
They were so on edge about things that they should not have been on edge about.
I know.
I remember like they're freaking out at council meeting about like cruise nights happening on the same night.
Yeah.
One in Orange County and one in the desert or
Riverside or something. Yeah,
we cannot have cruise nights on the same night. And it's like, you all need to calm down.
It's not that. It's I remember countless hours arguing and stuff like that. Yeah.
And I can relate a little bit to Bob's thing on the show promoter, because I kind of freak out about our show sometimes. It's only in recent years where I've learned to not do that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was just like the freaking out about things.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I'm not slandering him in any way, painting him to be a bad guy. I think it was just circumstance. Because there was another instance where he wanted to kick us out because Angie sat down in the dance floor one time.
Oh yeah.
And he flipped out, and I'm like, it's okay. It's just, there's a lot of little stories like that.
It's almost like, dude, okay, at that point, because that was that was like the later 2010.
Yeah, that was like so that one, and that's like, so I have a few notes written down that I want to go into, but that was at the Rockahula Park, and there was like a whole bunch of stuff going on at that time. But yeah, that was like late early 2000s.
Yeah, that one where she sat on the dance floor, wasn't that at West Coast or something?
No, that was Rockahula.
Oh,
that
was
was
it?
Rezo at Rockahula.
Oh, okay.
And that was like maybe, I don't know, but okay, maybe I'm making this up. All right. But bear with me. Maybe you could clarify, but I think I remember this. That one dude was just annihilated and causing a whole bunch of problems. So Bob zip tied him to the fence or like handcuffed him to the fence.
They used to do that. They would.
Am
they
I
would-
making that up?
No, they would. And I don't know if I actually ever saw them do that.
Yeah,
But
me too. Maybe I just heard this.
Maybe they just talked about it.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know
And
if they
I don't
ever-
want to like cause like someone's
Yeah,
like, that's not didn't happen. Anyway, I digress. Anyway.
The best Rezo memory I have was Rezo. It was supposed to be at Rockahula Water Park. It was Rezo 2000, right? Y2K.
And that was the one right before. I heard about
Yep.
this one. It was the one right before.
And like literally the week before, that water park up there that you see on skate videos and music videos, Rockahula Water Park. It went through so many different owners and so many open and closing. I met with them to do council run there one time, and then 2 weeks later they sold it and we couldn't do it there. Like we were going to open up water slides and all this stuff. But so apparently like a week or days before Rezo was going to happen, the water park was like, nope, we can't do it here. So Bob had to find a new location, and it was at the Calico Silver Mine there, the ghost town. And it was cold. It was windier than shit. But it was Y2K. No one knew it was going to happen. You had all this like, the electronics are going to shut down because the clocks don't know how to comprehend changing to 2000. And you had all these different predictions and all this stuff. And I just remember at midnight, when the clock hit midnight, Roulette and High Speed Productions played End of the World as We Know It by REM.
Oh, that's funny. That's great.
Everyone was down there on the by the stage, and everyone was drinking and celebrating New Year's. But that was probably one of my best memories at any truck run ever, because it was just
This big unknown.
well, first of all, yeah, the big unknown. Plus, you're with everybody on New Year's Eve, so that's cool. And then loud music, and you're in the middle of the desert, and it's just all kind of meshed together. And that was probably the best Rezo memory that I had.
And didn't you also say that like people going to they changed it like that day, so people were actually driving out to Rockahula, and then someone was there saying, no, go back to this other place.
Yeah, because it's not like we had the internet to have like MySpace or social media to Instagram to tell people. No, luckily Calico was just like a couple miles from Rockahula. So, but yeah, that was fun.
So hold on, let me pull up my notes on my new phone. So that actually, the Rockahula was one of the most memorable ones for me too, and it wasn't anything like, well, the actual run was memorable because that was actually the first time that I saw Ernie's truck, the red extra cab Mitsu.
Oh yeah,
that was cool. And then it's also the first time I saw Time Machine. Like I never saw that truck before. Yeah. And so me and my buddy were like pouring over that truck, just how incredibly cool it was. So that was like the truck, memorable stuff about it. But also like, so, and I know you have a very similar story, and me telling this will spark it in you. So I had this motorhome. I had this old motorhome. It was like a 1978 motorhome. And I got the great idea that I'm going to take this to Rezo, because I don't want to sleep in a tent. I'm tired of sleeping in a tent. Yeah. And I'm still young, and I'm like oversleeping in a tent. And so I take this motorhome, and we leave after work on Friday. We're mobbing up there. Well, like all of the lights start to get dim on the dash.
Yeah.
And I look at, so it's me, my buddy, and Angie, and we're just like mobbing along. And I look at my buddy, and he looks at me, and he's all, the alternator's going dead. And I was like, yeah, I know. What do we do? And he's like, just keep going. So we push it. We get there. We roll into the gates. No lights, and we're like trying to find a spot with a flashlight. We're driving around with a flashlight looking for a spot. So we finally find a spot, and I'm like, I'm dealing with this problem on Sunday. I don't care. So get there, and no. Correction. Angie wasn't with us because Angie drove up. She got off of work a little bit later, so then she drove up in her car. Because that's another part of the story. So after dealing with this motorhome just being a complete piece of crap, Angie rolls up in her car. We're like, all right, we're all together. We're all going to like get it going. And my buddy goes to get something out of her truck and breaks the key off in the trunk to the car. Again, problem we'll deal with on Sunday.
Yeah.
So we go through the whole weekend, have a blast. Well, Sunday comes, and now I got to deal with all these problems. Well, Angie's had to freaking take a screwdriver and hit it into the ignition and start it with a screwdriver because Because why not, right?
Yeah.
So we did that. That fixed that problem. So now I got to get this motorhome back. And to make a very long story short, my dad ended up like we got a battery. We put a battery in the motorhome. We get it going. We keep breaking down. I'm driving down the freeway, and you know how motorhomes have like little flappy doors on the side? Mm-hmm. The whole trip, one opens, boom, flies off. going. Another one opens, boom, flies off. It took me probably, I mean, we left Rezo not early that morning, but in the morning, I didn't get home until dark because it took so long to get it home. But anyway, but I remember you had a very similar story with taking like a bus motorhome out.
It was a diesel pusher.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
My stepdad had this. He got it from his dad, and it wasn't a janky motorhome. This was a custom built motorhome, but it was built in the 80s.
Oh, so it's old.
So they got it, and they actually took the diesel motor out of it and had a custom Caterpillar diesel put in it.
Oh, wow.
But it had like shag carpet, but it was freaking nice. It wasn't beat up. It wasn't janky or anything. But they picked it up in Washington, my mom and him, and drove it down. It broke down, and then they had to sleep in it and then like get it fixed. And it took them like days to get this thing down from Washington to Southern California. And then it just sat on the side of our house, and they never really used it. And I was like, "Hey, can I take that to Rezo?" And he goes, "I don't know. I don't even," you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, sure, whatever.
yeah. So, got it, drove it around the neighborhood. Everything's good. We're going we're like desert center area, you know, and it just died. And I was like, looked at my buddy, and he looked at me. I know it's like, put it in neutral, started it back up, and it kept going. And it was all good. And I'll tell you what, it was the most comfortable Rezo I've ever had because it had a heater in it and all that stuff. And there's probably like 20 people in that motorhome. They're like,
that's awesome.
Just laying on the floor, laying on the counter, laying on the whatever. It was just
the best times.
People
just wherever you could
crawling
get in.
out of their tents, just like, hey, can we get some heat? You know what I mean? And just like piling in there. But then, hilarious. When we couldn't get it started on Sunday, and finally when we did get it started, we never shut it off. We're like, we're not turning this off. So I remember going to like Jack in the Box and parking it on the side of the street. And he just ran in, got food, came in, and we just. But yeah, it was.
You know, we talked about before about like my opinions on things is just because like we talked about shaved door handles, how like I really don't like shaved door handles because I've had bad experience with shaved door handles. Like there are better shaved door handles out there. I have the same experience with motorhomes. I've had so many janky motorhomes, and I've been broken down so many times on the side of the freeway that I hate motorhomes. I won't go near them.
They're a pain in the ass. But I mean, if you had $200,000 and you spent $60,000 on a nice motorhome,
that's the thing.
Man, I really like motorhomes.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, so that was the most like memorable, one of the most memorable ones. And then from there, like it was, 2008 last Rezo wasn't, they did the 40th one, that one was really memorable for me also because not only was it kind of like nostalgic going back to a Rezo and like, all those great things.
Well, 2008 was the last. Okay, so let's get this timeline straight real quick. So 2008 was the last Rezo at Blythe, right?
Right. But it was supposed to be the last Rezo. It was like
it was supposed to be the last Rezo ever, the farewell.
It was the farewell one. Yes. Yeah.
And then what year did they bring it back? Okay, so did they have the one at Havasu?
That was after the 40th. And I actually have, hold on one second. I actually have my trophy from the 40th. It was called Rezo Reunion 40 in 2016.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one I took the airbag trailer to.
Well, see, so this one, we were talking earlier about like the difference in years. This one actually says Rezo Reunion 2016. Oh, I see what it was. So it's December 30th to January 1st, 2017. So that's where it gets a little confusing, but I'll show that to the camera.
So that was the one that I brought the airbag trailer with Joey's Tundra chassis on.
Yeah. And so that was the reunion. So that one was kind of cool. So and I'll actually throw up a picture of the art because I have it in my office. or not my office, but the shop where my screen printing press is. I still have my dash plaque from the farewell one. And it said, farewell, Rezo, goodbye, you know? So, okay, put that to bed. And then they did
So the 2008 one was that supposed to be the last? Did they advertise that as the last one?
That was the farewell. It says farewell on the flyer.
Yeah. And then Rezo reunion wasn't necessarily like we're bringing it back.
No,
it was just like a hey, let's get together.
Yeah, which was cool because it was like, you know, like, oh man, Rezo was so great. Let's do it again. You know,
it was. I remember being on it went from like a big stage, and then that year was just in front of the Glenn's Motorhome with roulette DJing and stuff. But it was fun because there were so many people there that you hadn't seen in so long. Mm-hmm. Some of the old guys from Sunset and that I haven't even seen since then. Mm-hmm. And that was a good time. That one was fun.
That one was really memorable for me because not only was it the reunion, but I was in Forbidden at that point. So hanging out with Forbidden, you know, being around everybody and getting that total Rezo vibe. Because if you remember, it was snowing and raining. Yep. And then I actually made a video on that one. So if you go to the Custom Life channel and go all, you know, way towards the bottom, there's the Rezo video from that. And it was that was a true Rezo experience, you know?
It was. You lived pretty close to there, so you got to go home.
I lived 7 miles away. Yeah, I didn't stay there. I went home. No. Yeah, I lived 7 miles away from that place.
It was a little miserable. Well, the way our camp was set up, at least, because we had like a couple of easy ups, but it was raining, so we had to put the easy up over the fire. But then that created smoke. But then it was raining so hard the mud was flowing through the thing.
Oh, that's that's right. Yeah,
but again, it was okay.
But it was fine. I was extra fine because I just went home. You know, like you were saying, I was extra fine. So that was the 40th, and then I don't know what the situation was, but a few years later, I think it was 18, I want to say, was Bob tried to do it again, and that was the Havasu one where it was.
That was the next year, because if that was 17.
Oh yeah, so that would be the next year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he did it at so Lake Havasu City.
Yeah, and I went to that, and I think I was the only one from the club who went to that. That was not Rezo. It was
no.
And again, I'm I'm always quick to be apologetic and you know, careful on what I say, but like that one was not the Rezo vibe.
Yeah, it was. I didn't go, and I felt bad because I always bragged about being at every Rezo, even the reunion. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to get excited about a show like Lake Havasu is cold and windy,
which was so surprising to me. It was freezing cold, and it's kind of a little hypocritical of us because we were just saying that's the Rezo vibe. It's cold. It was different.
It's fine to be a cold when you have a campfire and all this stuff, but it's different. It's a whole different vibe.
This was a different vibe because and also he tried to like change up the format. Like it was like a more like a destination type show where the show was in the parking lot, but then everybody had hotels and stuff. So it was really lacking the vibe. Still had fun. We stayed at Colin and Cheryl's house from Freaks. They were really accommodating. We went down to the that really well known like bar in Lake Havasu. I don't know the name of it. Do you know the name? I don't know what it is. It's like the one in a bay.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was fun. It was a ton of fun. But I always have fun wherever I go. But it, like I said, definitely lacked that Rezo vibe. But anyway, so that's Rezo.
And they're trying to bring it back.
Really? Oh, that's right. That's right. Whatever. The ominous post that they put on Instagram. I think this was like last year or something.
They started promoting it a couple of years ago for 2025.
That's right. Was it? I was gonna say 2028, but
I don't know. But I was like, man.
I was like, they're like, Rezo's coming back, and we're like, oh, really? And like, yes, in 7 years.
Yeah. I know. I don't mean to laugh, but like,
I know. I'm sorry.
I was like, man, you really have a what's it called? Like a really good outlook on how if some of these people are going to be alive. Then, you know, it's just like
you make me spit out my water.
The track record of some of us is not very.
We're
good.
Getting old.
Yeah, and some of those guys are really old, and not exactly take care of themselves either.
We're not laughing at anybody in particular. We're laughing at the situation because the situation is quite funny.
It's the same thing, yeah. And they don't even know where it's going to be yet, right? They never announced a location. They never did anything, and I have this like, it's going to be strange for me personally, because am I going to want to go? Yeah. That's my thing, because now if you were told me, hey, on New Year's Eve, do you want to stay home or do you want to go to a cold campground and hang out with a bunch of people? I don't know if I'm going to be have the same level of excitement for that.
Yeah.
Now, and maybe in 2 years from now, whenever they do it, that I did in 2016.
That's true.
It took everything in me to go to that 2016. I lived it because I lived here in Arizona.
You did, yeah. I remember.
And I had to do. So I went out there. I don't know what I was out there for. Something with the trailers, airbag trailers, or Max, or I don't know what it was. But I remember getting there and I was like miserable.
Yeah, I do remember that.
I slept in my truck and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I'm going to get really drunk right now or I'm going to go home. And
I
just
do
got
remember
really
that.
drunk.
Yeah, I do remember that. I don't know. You know me. You know me. I probably would go 100% and just because that's just me.
I don't know. You've said 100% the last couple of shows. You haven't gone. Ooh.
Wow. Cutting deep this episode.
Make some notes there.
Yeah, make some notes on that one. Oh, no.
Also, I like how you're like taking notes on your new phone when the notes part is the same as your old phone.
I know, right? No, I know, I understand. I fully understand the not irony necessarily, but understand what. Yeah, it is funny. But
I've been using the notes part on my phone more, but because I have it connected to the computers now, so like.
Your
I'll
notes are going with you in different places.
They're going with me. Like I copied and pasted upcoming 2023 shows from here, put it on my notes on my computer, and now it's on my phone.
Yeah.
So I don't have to like turn around all the way over here to do stuff.
Right. Which is like, this could be a whole thing by itself, but just a really quick touch on that. That's why, like, some people talk crap about, Apple versus Android, which is it's all the same. Like, it's all the same. But, that's one of the things that, like, why I stick with Apple for everything, because everything is so well integrated. I can move seamlessly from, my laptop to my desktop to my phone to TV to everything. Anyway. But yeah, that's one feature I definitely like on it. But yeah, and honestly, the reason why it's on here was last night. I do most of my good thinking when I'm in the shower. I don't know why.
Were you taking notes in the shower?
No, but I was just thinking about it, and I got out of the shower. And I'm like, I gotta get this out of my head right now. So then I just and here we are.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the same way. I do that with grocery lists.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I need this, and I'll just on my phone like, do. I need da da da,
and there you go.
And there it is.
So, but that's the other thing that we wanted to talk about. So we talked about the Rezo stuff. That was awesome. Rezo was great. I miss Rezo. Will, again, the question is, would I go in 2 or 3 years? Who knows if they're even going to do it? We don't know. Anyway.
If they did it right now, would you go?
100%. Okay, I won't say 100% because like you said.
Yes, it's just our 100% is not 100% because it sounds great to say it.
Uh-huh.
But if it was actually in front of our face right now, like, okay, what's today? Today's Thursday.
This is 29th, yeah.
It would be this weekend. Rezo would be this weekend.
I would go.
You would go.
I would go, yeah. Just because, like, earlier I was saying, like, maybe that
would you go if it was in Blythe?
Well, like, okay, well, hold on. All right, if I was having to go to Blythe right now and drop everything and go, it would be harder. But if like I was like this year, like we're going to Rezo,
about it.
I would 100% go.
Same here. If they called me right now, like, hey, there's a Rezo, it's happening, it's at Blythe, and I'll be like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
My weekend's already planned out.
Right, exactly.
What are you gonna do? I'm gonna make some dinner and I'm gonna watch the ball drop. Right.
Yeah,
that's my plan. I already told my. But if like last year they're like, we're doing Rezo, it's on New Year's Eve 2022, I'll be like, oh, I'm in.
Yeah, same.
Yep.
We'll see how we feel in 2 or 3, 4, whenever it happens again. We'll see.
Whenever it is.
We'll see. Hold on.
It all depends on the location and how close hotels are to it. Because I'm 100% not camping.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
I'm not bringing a motorhome.
Definitely not bringing a motorhome. I say the motorhome thing, but when we went up to Oregon that one time and rented that trailer,
literally just thinking that.
How cool was that?
I know that was pretty cool.
It was great, right? Like,
well, and
that's because.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say because that's dealing with owning a motorhome is different than dealing with renting a motorhome.
And my perspective is I like trailers. Like I like RV trailers because I have way more faith in my truck getting me places than I do some motorhome that sits 95% of the time.
Again, it's all an experience.
It's all relative, really. Anyway, so the other thing that we want to talk about, since this is the first show of 2023, is our upcoming show season.
Is 2023. What is the very first show?
LST. Well, for me, LST.
And I think for me too.
Yeah. I think so. Because like you said, Art of Noise isn't going to go down.
Do you want to see something cool?
Yeah, do.
Speaking of LST, I don't even know if I'm supposed to show this yet.
Oh. Wow. That's nice.
I made it. I feel like I
nice.
made it. I can retire now.
That's really cool. Are you showing it to the camera?
I think. Oh, yeah, I am. Oh, and it's nice and in focus, too.
Yeah. That's really cool. Did the same guy who made all the rest of them make that? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the guy in Canada, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Phil built or whatnot.
Yeah. That's really, really cool.
So, yeah. I think that's my first show, too, if they don't have Art of Noise.
Yeah. Well, which I don't think because isn't it? Well, I mean, they might announce it.
The last few years, it's been like very like, hey, we're having it. Here's the date. And it's been just kind of a no like frills type thing.
Yeah. I said,
last year there was literally 2 vendors. It was me and Nick Crouch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, like I said last episode, like I miss that show, miss going to that show. That show is a lot of fun. So, but it's just like the workup for LSD, and I'm repeating myself from last episode, but the workup to LSD is a lot. Like it's a lot of stuff going on, especially for me because I print my own stuff. It's a lot.
Yeah. When are you going to start doing that? Are you like, what do you got going on
next week? Well, I plan on, so my schedule is going to be, because we have to come up with new designs. So Angie's working on new designs, but to keep myself busy until then, I'm going to be doing reprints.
Drop hoodies?
Reprints and drop stuff. I was going to say that next. I was getting there. You cut me off. Yes, drop stuff. I'm going to be working on drop stuff. So we'll have t-shirts, sweaters, some other stuff. The cup thing, I mentioned in a previous episode that I had a thing on cups that fell through. So I got to figure out the next thing on that.
The cups can happen whenever they happen. I just think like when we were talking the other day about, are we going to sell these online or at shows? I think LST will be that first one where we can push like, all right, guys, if you want drop merch, come to the booth at LST and you'll be able to get, well, we'll do like a pop-up shop type thing.
Yeah. You mentioned that. That's a really cool idea. I like that.
Yeah.
So it won't be at every show.
It won't be at every show. Yeah. We're not going to drag this stuff to every show, but LST, Mini Nats, Dinos, like it might not be at Cruise to the Pines. It might not be at Lowdown in Laughlin. It might not be at all these events. We might just try to keep it a little special.
You mentioned a couple shows, so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go through my list of shows to see if I was missing anything. So,
good. That's a good idea because I'm kind of in the same boat.
All right. So I have, in order, I usually think, no particular order. No, these are in order. So I have LST, Forbidden Fantasy, Mini Nats, Rolling in the Red Rocks, Neptune's Net, the show in Colorado, Scraping the Rockies, the Slowdown, Dockweiler, Last Resort with a question mark, and Chubbs, Dinos, and Severed. But you mentioned, like, I forgot about...
So I just want to hear mine in contrast. Same Lone Star. March, I also have the Reunion, which is out here, which is Ronnie's show.
And I wanted to go to that, and I was gonna make time to do kind of a Dino thing, just cruise out there and check it out. But that's opening day, softball opening day, so that was out.
Oh, okay. So that's my one in March, and then Forbidden. Mini Nats, and then you have Mini Truck Meltdown in Havasu, which is Shane's event.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, let me write that down. Meltdown.
May, you Cruise to the Pines. And Rolling in the Red Rocks. And then you also have, there's other shows. So there's other shows that are happening, obviously, like Battle in Bama and there's a bunch of C10 shows mixed in here, but these are shows that I know that I'm like 99% going to.
Yeah.
That's what I wrote down. So like I didn't put down Scraping the Rockies because I don't know if I'm going to that or not. I want to, but I just don't know. Well, I'm going to get closer before I make like a commitment to it.
Yeah, and that's exactly the same thing with me because like Cruise to the Pines, I don't know. A couple other ones you mentioned, I don't know. But I forgot about Meltdown. That's a definite one that I'm going to go to. And that's like the weekend after Mini Nats, right?
It is.
Oh, man. So if you were doing 3 weekends. You're doing 4
weekends.
4.
So Mini Nats. Mini Truck Meltdown. Cruise to the Pines.
Right.
The Rolling in the Red Rocks is...
No, and then also the Reunion is the weekend before Forbidden.
2 weeks before Forbidden.
Oh, and that's before Mini. Okay, yeah, never mind. I got confused. Yeah, never mind. But yeah,
April and May is that whole that whole April and May is going to be pretty busy. And then July, I have Camp and Drag.
That one, yeah, you asked me about that one.
I just put a question mark just because I was blank in June, July, and August on my for sure to do show list. And I was like, ooh, Camp and Drag, but I've just got a question mark. But that show you have to like submit an application to and stuff.
Oh, to vendor?
No, just to go.
Oh, just to go. Oh, interesting.
Just to go, yeah. So I'm going to pay attention to that, and I think we'll just submit. Maybe we'll just submit just in case. I think it's going to be one of those where I'm not going to make a decision until it gets closer.
Yeah, same. You know, to be honest with you, like there are shows that are like locked in, like LST, Forbidden, Mini Nats, Rolling the Red Rocks. There are some shows that are like locked in for sure. There are some shows that are, you know, maybe, but then also there are some shows that like I really want to, but it's all circumstance that leads up to it.
Yeah, like the locked in shows. When I say locked in shows, those are shows like we're taking the booths to. Mm-hmm. When I say like Mini Nats, or not Mini Nats, like Camp and Drag, maybe not take the whole booth to. Like if I get if I get a mini truck and my plan is to like buy a mini truck, fix it up, put it on the YouTube channel, take it to a show, drive it to a show. That could be one on the list because it's got name recognition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, can we make it to Camp and Drag? And like, I will throw a small U-Haul trailer behind this little truck and throw the 10 by 10 easy ups in there, maybe instead of the 10 by 20s.
Right.
And do a smaller compact version of the booth, but still pay for the trip.
Yeah.
Essentially, you know, like
that'd be fun to experiment with.
That's this 2023 is going to be a big experiment for me. Mm-hmm. It's just a, yeah.
Yeah. Well, cause like you're going to change up your video format a little bit, you know,
the whole thing. And I still don't know if it's going to work or not, you know? So it's going to be an experiment.
So yeah, that's all you can do is just try things out. Like I don't have any definitive things that I'm going to like change necessarily, just sort of like more of the same, but just maybe more focused. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any like, I'm doing this year. I don't have that.
Yeah. This whole experiment that I'm doing is if I don't do it, I'm never going to do it. And if I never do it, I'm not going to ever know if it would have worked or not.
Yeah.
And if it completely falls on its face or I don't like doing it, I'll just revert right back to what I was doing before.
That's sort of the luxury of all this stuff is like everything is an experiment. You know, this podcast was an experiment. Still, I mean, not really. I guess so still is. But, you know, everything is just like, hey, let's try it out. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Also, in September is Lowdown in Laughlin.
That's right. Yeah, Lowdown in Laughlin.
Which is going to be the same weekend we're going to do our 30th club party.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're planning that too. I forgot. Yeah, that is going to be awesome. I'm so looking forward to that. And that, I'm like 100% saying that right now. There's no booth involved with that. It's just I'm taking the truck and just... It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I don't know if I'm going to do a booth or not, but probably not. Hopefully I'll still have my truck by then or a truck by then. That might even be another... All these shows in my head, I'm like, oh, I can take a new truck to that show. So like whatever I take to Camp and Drag, I can, if I turn around, sell it when I get home or there or whatever. And then I will already have bought something and or buy something right around that time. And then take it to the 30th could be another thing, you know?
Yeah. Do you remember the one LST where everybody was flying Spirit and it got canceled? And
oh yeah, yeah.
Well, actually, that was a more interesting LST because, and then I guess we can edit this in. That was an interesting LST because, like, that was the 1 year that you didn't go. Remember when you gave me the phone call of.
So now, because of that phone call, anytime I text you and go, hey, can I call you? You get PTSD.
Like, I'm like, here we go.
What show's Brian canceling on me now?
That was 16, and that's when you're like, I'm not going to go to LST, and I'm like,
I was trying to finish the last of the DVD.
Yeah, and so I was like, well, okay, but the thing was Angie had bought a ticket, and so obviously with it was especially Spirit, like you're not getting that money back, right?
Yeah.
So we thought about it for a few days, and it was getting closer. And then because Holly was supposed to go, a few people were supposed to go, and then Angie's like, "I'm just gonna go." I was like, "Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like you, Holly, and like everybody, just go hang out. It'll be awesome. Yeah. I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna stay." So she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go." I'm like, "Cool." So she was flying out of Vegas.
Yep.
So she drives all the way to Vegas, gets there, waits around for like 2 or 3 hours. And they're like, okay, it's delayed a little bit. And then finally a guy comes out and he just goes, yeah, it's canceled.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, what do I do? She's like, oh, we'll just refund you your money. And she's like, so there's no other flights? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
So she just drove all the way home.
That's another lesson in flights. Always book through the airline. Because
why is that?
If you book through Expedia or one of these travel things, one, the airline has no control over your refunds. So like they'll be like, nope, sorry, you booked on Expedia, so you have to talk to Expedia.
Go talk to them. Yeah.
And what ends up happening is Expedia will be like, oh, do you want travel insurance just in case something happens? We'll refund you, no questions asked. By the time you add it all up, it's the same price as the airline.
Well, so actually that happened to us one time. Another instance that happened was we were supposed to do a trip where you, me, and Doug were going to go to a couple things, and one of them was that show in Louisiana that Greg Miller used to throw. Sick Nick? Yeah, it was Sick Nick. And so, but that also was when the hurricane went down and the floods happened. And so we did it. We bought the insurance and said, okay, and this is way before COVID. So like we bought the insurance and the trip got canceled because the place was flooded. There's no way the show was going to happen. And so I called the airline. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. So, we're not going to go. We just want to get a refund. And they're like, you don't get a refund. And we're like, well, why? We bought the insurance. And they're like, oh no, this is the qualifications that you have to hit to not go. And it was like, a death, a doctor's, like all these like really specific things. And then so back and forth. And finally I said the right magic words. And I told him, and I said, hey, look, the event that we were going to fly out to was canceled because it's flooded from the hurricane. And they're like, oh yeah, natural disaster. No problem. Here you go.
Yeah. We bought tickets to go to Australia and we canceled. But we bought them through the airline and they just didn't refund us, but they gave us vouchers.
Oh, okay.
And then I remember buying tickets through some airline to go to Cruise of the Pines up in the Northwest, and something happened and I couldn't do it and they just refunded the money. And it's like, they'll either give you vouchers or refund, but rental cars are even worse. So if you get a rental car through like Expedia or any of these other ads that pop up, that you have no control. It's stupid. So I always tell everyone, just book. If it's a little bit more money, it doesn't matter. Just book the hotel through the hotel website, or book the rental car through the rental car company website, or the airline through the airline thing.
We don't follow that advice. You know how we are. So yeah, no, we just got Angie's ticket for LST, and it's through like Momondo or something like that. But so hopefully nothing happens.
It's not through Momondo. It's actually through someone that's through Momondo. Like they just
right. It's like this whole web of things. Yeah. Anyway, just hope nothing happens.
Yeah.
And she even asked me, she's like, "Are you sure you're gonna go?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go."
Well, that's the problem. What happens if your truck breaks down?
Then she would just fly there, and I don't know. I don't know.
There's too many variables for me to save. There's too many variables for me to save $50. Like,
well, I mean, that's a good point. That's a good point.
It's like, it sounds great when you book it, but then you're just like, and then also you can't collect miles and stuff like that when you book it through another thing. If you are that person that collects miles and stuff.
Yeah, we should be doing that because Angie does fly pretty frequently to get to these shows. So I don't know. Anyway,
whatever. I don't even know what we were talking about.
It's been so long. We had to take another break. Just, things happen. Had to take a break. We were talking about shows. We were talking about upcoming shows, going through the list of everything we're doing. I think we did all that. I think we were pretty close to wrapping it up, to be honest with you.
I think we were too.
Yeah. So I don't know how all that's going to fit together and edit. That's your thing. And then for me to review, and I will give you notes. We were talking about last episode how like you said that like when you were out of focus and we had the audio in the beginning, like, and you're like, yeah, that's sort of on me. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. Well, the other side of that, the things that are on me is like when the things don't get edited correctly. Cause like I'm the one who's supposed to say, okay, take this out, add this in.
Yeah. When I'm editing, I sync up my audio and my video. I check the beginning. I check the end. If they're lined up at the beginning and the end, they're lined up.
That's it.
Yours, I have to, I check yours, but I check yours are usually in 4 chunks, 3 or 4 chunks. So I have to, and then I take mine and I take yours and I cross it over on mine and I have to line up the first chunk and then I go to the end of yours and I have to cut it, and then I have to take your second chunk, cut it in, line it up with the second. So I do that, and then I bring it all together, and then I'll scan it. And sometimes I'll take things out because I know that they were there and they were really easy and stuff. But after all that, I don't listen to it.
Yeah, I know. So all the little non-edited things, that's my fault.
Yeah. So yeah, when you were like, "Oh, you didn't take," I was like, "Yeah, you didn't tell me to take." Anything.
I know. As soon as I fired off that message, I was like, "Oh, wait a minute."
Yeah, because adding the Nissan in is easy. You can do that real quick on your end.
Yeah, I know. I thought I was so proud of myself because I'm like, I'm helping Brian out. I'm adding this stuff. I even edited a little chunk out, and I'm like, "Woo!" And then I just. Anyway.
Anyways, it all works out.
It always does. Every single week, it just seems to work out. And I'm sure no one really even notices the little bugs anyway. So
no. Let's see. Oh, I started an album on my phone here. And it's where is it? Why is nothing in there?
Uh-oh.
Places, videos, photos. Well, I thought I did. And what I was doing was screen capturing all the questions that people were sending us.
Oh yeah. I think that's probably going to be the next episode. We're going to do a question and answers episode.
Yeah. But it's weird because my albums, I have a drop album and there's nothing in there, and I had put a bunch of stuff in there the other day.
Oh, whoops.
Man.
Well, but that's good. But we do. So next week's episode, we need some questions. So anybody who's listening right now, go over to either under this. If you're watching on YouTube, go underneath this video, drop some questions. If you're listening on your whatever podcast platform you use, head over to our Instagram, The Drop of Frank and Brian, the whole title of the show, at the Drop of Frank and Brian, and drop some questions there. And I think we'll do a poll too next week.
Did you just do the one teaser from the last episode, or did you do more?
I did more. I forgot to do it. I'll do it today.
Okay.
I have a couple more. Yeah, I know. See, those are all the little things.
What do you do, Frank? What did you do yesterday? What's your day in the life of Frank?
Oh, dude, I had a dentist appointment, and they racked me. I had a cleaning, like a deep cleaning, and they racked me up, dude. It sucked.
Really?
I mean, not. This is not interesting to do with trucks or anything like that, but it's a funny story because like they did half at a time. So the first half, they're like, "Do you want any local anesthesia to make it, hurt less?" And I'm like, "Nah, it should be fine. I've had my teeth cleaned before a bunch of times." But I don't know, man. This time, this lady was just like working me
in there.
And I was like, so for like last week, I was like, oh, for like a whole day. So this time I'm like, hey, yeah, I'll take some of that local anesthesia. So then I had to go through the pain of getting all these shots in my mouth. It didn't work. All I ended up with was a numb cheek and lip, and it still hurt. And so dude, all day, yeah, it sucks. So yeah, that's what I was doing yesterday, just writhing in pain. And I have more dental work. We got to, actually, I mean, since we're talking about it, I guess we need to figure that out. I have an appointment on the 9th to get some wisdom teeth pulled. So
good times.
That's going to be a fun week. So we need to figure that out.
That's the 9th of January?
Yeah.
So
everybody listening is like, this is way too much information.
Well, you're going to
don't care.
You're going to have to listen to it because this is what we do. So this is the behind the scenes that we're not going to edit out of this. So yeah, today's the 29th. So we can record on 2 episodes next week so that we don't have to record the week after that. I'm
thinking we're going to do back-to-back question and answer episodes. How's that sound?
Ask us questions.
Ask us questions because we need content.
There's a bunch. I just have to find them. I don't know where they went, but we have some that we can go back and answer. So
awesome. Yeah, let's do that. And then we'll do the old Hollywood thing. I'm going to change my clothes and look like 2 episodes. You won't, so it'll look the same.
We're going to make Frank stay in the same, so he suffers just like everything else.
That's fine. I don't mind.
I don't know.
Just a little Hollywood magic.
Hollywood magic. Just a little Apple Valley magic.
That's a little Apple Valley magic. That's a different kind of magic. They charge a lot of some money for that magic.
I know. Oh, we talking about our giveaway?
Oh yeah, giveaway. Yeah, giveaway time. We have that going on. We're giving away the AccuAir E-Level Plus kit.
Yep.
We're really excited about it. As always, all you got to do is go to our websites, grinder-tv.com or livelifecustom.com. Every $5 you guys spend, 1 entry into the drawing. We're working on the drop merch that will get more points. We're still working out the details on that.
Working on a bunch
still
of
working out the details.
The AccuAir giveaway is going to go through February.
Yeah, we're gonna let this one simmer for a while because it's good. It's really good.
Yeah.
I'm shooting tomorrow. I got a schedule lined out for doing a commercial, so we'll have a pretty fun commercial. Actually, that commercial dropped today. If you're watching this, listening and watching this episode, that commercial dropped today. Hopefully.
Wait. Sunday.
Sunday's you're gonna drop it on Sunday, the
I want to
first, or
drop it on
Monday?
the first.
Okay, so Sunday. So
like the new year, new giveaway that
Okay.
we've already talked about already.
yes, and then I jumped the gun and put it on my Instagram. There's another thing I feel terrible about this week. I feel like such a piece of garbage after that. I'm like,
I know. I was sitting on my chair and I was like,
you're like, hold on.
I guess we're announcing that. And I was like, oh, it's not a big deal because we already said it on the podcast. And then
My gosh.
And then I was like, you're like, oh, I feel bad. And I was like, told Chelsea she was laying there.
You're
I was
like, you should.
I was like, I bet Frank feels real bad right now. And then you messaged me that you're like, I feel really bad about that. I was like, we already talked about it on the podcast. So there's no.
I know. I jumped the gun on that one. But anyway, the commercial, it dropped. Yes, if you're listening now, it dropped yesterday.
And it was really good.
To our Instagrams, watch it. It is going to be really good.
No, it was really good. It's already happened.
Really good. Yeah, it was really good. Hope everybody enjoyed it. I really hope it happened.
No one's listening to this right now.
Yeah, I know.
We
right?
lost them with scheduling.
Yeah, exactly. They're all, I don't give a crap about your teeth.
Who cares about your teeth?
I have to take care of these things because I'm a mouth talker. And so, like, everybody, you just see what's going on in there. So I'm like, I got to take care of these freaking things.
Oh, man. Dentists are such scam artists, too.
Oh, dude, it's so bad. That's a whole thing.
I know. I was listening to Two Bears where the one dentist told Tom that he had like 17 cavities. And then he was like, they're like, do you want us to take care of that right now? And he's like, no. And he went to another dentist and they're like, yeah, you don't have any cavities.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It is a racket.
Chiropractors and dentists, stay away from them.
All of our listeners who are dentists and chiropractors are like, hey, no. They're like, oh, no, we know.
None of our listeners are dentists.
I know.
That's just putting it out there right now.
No dentists, no doctors, no lawyers.
No.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. We got to stop now.
Yeah, we got to stop. All right. Well, thank you for checking out this week's show. We'll see you next week.
Later. Bye.